What's up, guys? This is Brent with Western Equipment, and in this video I'm going to be telling you all about the John Deere 2025R. So let's start out with breaking down the model number. Now, there are tons of model numbers within the John Deere lineup of tractors, and they can get very confusing. So we'll go ahead and break those down. Starting here with the first number is a 2. So that means that this tractor is going to be in the 2 family of tractors. Now, starting from the very smallest down in the subcompact line, we are going to have the 1 series that contains the 1023E and the 1025R. And then the next is going to be our 2 family, which we're going to jump up just a little bit and go into a 2025R like we have here today. You're also going to have the 2032R and the 2038R all within this series. And then the tractors go up into the 3 family, the 4 family, the 5 family, and on up all the way 6, 7, 8, and 9. So now the last 3 digits here, or the next 3 digits rather, in this model number is going to be a representation of our horsepower. So on this we have a 025, whereas this tractor is actually going to be closer to a 24 horsepower, but these numbers are meant to get very close to what that horsepower rating is going to be for the engine on this tractor. Then our last letter here in the model number is going to be our trim level indicator. Now, within the different lineups of tractors, we could have E's, M's, or R's, E being the economy level, M being the mid-spec, and R being the top of the line tractor. But within the 2 series of tractors, we are only going to have the R series, which means that they are going to be all going to be the top of the line level in this 2 series. And then also, while we're talking about model numbers, we'll also point out here that we have a 120R loader on this tractor, and we'll talk a little bit more about it in just a minute. So to start, let's talk about our engine, and we'll go ahead and get into the engine compartment here and show you exactly how to open this up to make service really easy, and also show you all of those service points. Now, underneath the hood here, what we're going to have is that 24 horsepower 3-cylinder Yanmar engine, and to be able to get to that, the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and grab the key out of the ignition or any other long skinny object like this that we can go right here into our engine pop. You'll see this on the right hand side of the hood. It'll have that picture of the tractor with the engine going up, or with the hood going up rather. We're going to stick that key in, that will pop the engine open, and then right there we'll raise that up, and that is going to be on 2 hydraulic cylinders here. Make that very easy to be able to get into this and for that hood to stay open while we're working on that. Now, once we have that open, it is very easy to get the side panels off of this hood to make doing maintenance on this tractor very simple. So right here we have a little yellow turn knob. We're simply just going to twist this backwards and then let this pull out. And then once this is pulled out, we're simply going to slide backwards. That will slide that panel out of place, and then we can remove it. Now, this is going to expose the whole side panel opening of this tractor, make it easy to get to all of our service points. Then we can also move to the other side and do the same thing. All right, so once we're over here on the left-hand side and we have that side panel removed, some of the things that we're going to see, for one, we're going to be able to see our starter, very easy to get to here. Also our alternator. Then above that, we can see right on top of our engine, right here, we are going to have that engine fill. It will be an orange cap that you can get to. Then right above that, we are going to have our overflow tank here for our radiator. And then right in front of that, we have our radiator right here with the radiator cap. Then in front of that, we're gonna have an oil cooler here in front, and then down below will be our battery. And as we can see, that is held in with a strap right there on top, making that nice and secure. But also, this is not a very deep housing here, so you can get down to service that battery. Now, whenever we're talking about removing this battery or removing this cover to be able to get to this battery, we are gonna have a few different bolts here that we are going to have to remove to be able to take this front housing off to get to that battery. Now, once we get moved around here to the right hand side, we have a few other service points here. For one, we're going to have our air filter, which is very easily removable. Right here, we'll just pull out that clip. We can remove that cap, and then we can also relieve our dust valve here. And then right here, we can very easily get to that air filter. Now, this is going to be a 2-part air filter, so we'll see that we have an outer and then also an inner, but very easy to get in there, take that out and clean it, and then we can go right back on here with our cap, and then right back in with our clip just like that. And then down below the air filter, we are going to have another oil fill here. Now, the difference between the two oil fills is that the one over here on the side is where we actually want to go in with that new oil whenever we are doing the oil change here. The one on top is more of just a service point there. And then if we move back away from that oil fill, we can also see that we have our fuel filter, very easy to get to here. This is going to have a shutoff valve that we can turn on and off. And then to the right of that, we will have our engine oil filter and our dipstick, and then also back behind everything here, then and in the actual cowling of the machine, we will have access to our fuse box as well. Now, once you've got all that service done, it's time to go back on with our side panels. Very easy to go back on. We just have a couple of notches here at the front, and then a couple of notches down here towards the battery part of the engine here that we are just going to make sure and get those lined up. Once we have those lined up into place, we should just be able to slide forward. It'll click into place, and then we'll go back in with our yellow knob here and just turn that back forward, and then we can close that hood. Now, before we hop in the operator station and go over the controls of this machine, let's talk just a little bit about the machine in general and some of the things that make it an R trim level tractor. So for one, we'll start here at the front like we talked about with the loader. This machine most of the time is going to come standard with the 120R loader. Now, the 120R loader is going to be an R series option, being as it is a quick parking loader. Now, I've done a video on this before showing this loader being removed and put back on a 1025R, so you can go and check that out on the channel. But this is a quick parking loader. That means it is easily removable from the tractor. And then also it is going to have the quick attach bucket here on the front. That is going to be a John Deere 1 through 4 series quick hookup that you can simply take off, unpin that bucket, roll out from underneath it, and go to pick up other implements, whether that be pallet forks or whatever those things may be. You're also going to have this really nice grill guard here in the front, and then you're also going to have a toolbox right there, right in front of the tractor, that is mounted on standard. That is also going to be an R series feature. Now, if we move back, the other couple of things here that we're going to see that are going to be in the operator station, for one, we're going to have these extra working lights here on the front to go along with our headlights there in the front. We're also going to have an adjustable steering wheel here. So as you can see, we can raise up here on the handle, lower that steering wheel down, raise that up. We can change that position to be able to fit different operators. And then we're also going to have a premium seat here. So this is going to be a very plush seat, very cushiony, with great suspension underneath, and also with armrests here that are going to be adjustable. And you will also notice that there is the sewn in John Deere emblem there on the seat. All of these things to help you recognize that this is going to be an R trim level tractor. Now, some of the other features that are going to come on this tractor that do come standard on others is, for one, this tractor is going to have power steering, making that very nice there. You are going to have 4-wheel drive on this tractor, or front wheel assist, and then you'll also have a differential lock here along with the hydrostatic transmission, which we'll show more about here in just a minute. So getting into this tractor, very nice. You are going to have a left side step here along with grab handles here on the side, making it easy to get into the tractor with that 3 points of contact. And then, like I said, you are going to have that very nice seat there with plenty of suspension to make this a very comfortable ride when you're in this tractor. Now, as far as our controls and things that we're going to have within the operator station, for one, starting at the rear, we are going to have our large wide opening fuel tank here, or fuel opening to our tank. That is going to have a tethered lid, and then that is going to have a 5.9 gallon fuel capacity. Now, the other nice thing is, yes, this is up on the fender and not more towards the rear, but you'll notice it has this big concave around it here. So if you have any fuel spillage, that does have some holes down there in the bottom of that concave to allow that fuel to go ahead and drain out, so it's not making a mess on your control panel here. Now, right in front of that, we are going to have our PTO selector. So with this tractor, you are going to have the option of using your rear PTO, your mid PTO, or both of them at the same time. So you'll see here on your selector that at the rear here, we are going to be using our mid PTO. If we're in the middle, we are going to be using our mid and rear PTO. And if we're all the way forward, then we're going to be using just our rear PTO. Now, right in front of that, we are going to have the easy to read fuel gauge just right here on your left-hand side, very easy to see. In front of that, of course, we do have one of those work lights that we talked about, and then to the right of that, we are going to have our range selector. Now, in the 2025R, we do have that hydrostatic transmission that is going to have a 2-range system. So what we have is a high and a low, and then of course our neutral here in the middle. So once we are going to work, we put that either in high or low, and then we just have the 2 pedals over here down to my right, which I'll show more about here in a minute. Now over here to the left in front, we are going to have that brake pedal. Now this brake pedal will also correspond with our parking brake feature, which is right down here on our middle console, which I will show that. But once we push in on that brake, we can raise up on our lever to set that parking brake, and then to release it, we'll push in and push down on that parking brake, and that will release it. Now, it's very easy to remember that that is for your parking brake because it is going to be orange. Same thing with our throttle, and same thing with our gear shift. So anything that has to do with a driving function on this machine or a parking function is going to be orange. So your range selector, your throttle, and your parking brake will all be orange so that you can remember that those have to do with your driving functions. Now, also down here to my right, a couple of things we're going to have. For one, we're going to have our height of cut knob. So like I said, with this tractor, you do have a mid PTO, which means that you can have a belly mower or a drive over mower deck on this mower. So your height of cut is already built in here, so you have that lever going from 1 to 5 inches, and then below that you are going to have your differential lock, just a very small pedal here that we would reach back with our heel, push that down, and what that's going to do is lock those rear wheels in together where they are turning at the same time. So just like a car, most of the time this tractor is using one of those rear wheels to do most of the work, but if we are in those sticky situations, we can lock in that rear differential just by pushing down on this lever with our heel. Now, while we're down here, we'll go ahead and move to the middle. Right here, we are going to have our seat adjustment, so we can raise up and we can either scoot this seat forward or backward, depending on what size of operator we're trying to fit here. Then right in front of that, we are going to have our rate of drop knob here. So what this means is this is going to be a knob that we can adjust how quickly our rear 3-point arms are going to drop. So whenever we have that implement on, if we tighten that up, then those will lower a lot slower, or if we loosen it up, they will lower very quickly depending on the weight that's on them. So that can be a very useful tool depending on what you're using here at the rear. And then to the right of that, we are going to have our 4-wheel drive engagement. So down is going to be 4-wheel drive, and then up is going to be 2-wheel drive. So that is what's going to engage your front wheel assist or your 4-wheel drive. So now moving up here on the console here, right here at our steering wheel, we've already talked about how our steering wheel is adjustable here at the column, but to the left of the steering wheel, starting down here at the bottom, you'll notice that we have one opening here, one switch opening for an extra attachment. So if we added something that needed an electrical switch, or maybe we added an extra set of lights, we do have one pop out opening here. We can simply remove that pop out, add that switch in, and it's very convenient right here on your console. Moving up from that, we are going to have our light switch where we can turn on our hazards. We can turn on our hazards plus our lights, or we could turn on our lights and our work lights all right here on the dash. Then above that, we are going to have our turn signal switch. Very easy, we can push those so we can have our turn signals whenever we're going down the road. Now moving up to the dash here, what we're going to see without the key turned on is we do have a tachometer, and we're also going to have a temperature gauge right here on the screen. Now if we turn this on, you'll notice we have a bunch of different warning lights that are going to come on, an oil pressure light, a glow plugs light. We're going to have our hour meter, a bunch of different things here. It'll also let you know if you are not in park, just like we did there. So now it shows that our park is on, and it will allow us to start the machine. So I'm gonna go ahead and start this up so you can get a good feel for how it sounds here. Now this is at low idle here. About mid-throttle there, and on up. So overall, very smooth sounding tractor, lots of torque, lots of power in that 24 horsepower Yanmar. Now, moving over here to the right hand side of our steering wheel, we are going to have our PTO engagement switch. So this is going to be a 3-stage switch. Right now we're in the off position. If we push this forward, that would be to the on position, which means that the electricity would be going to both of our PTOs until we were to hold this switch down, and then that is what's actually going to activate the shaft itself to make those implements run. So that is a 3-position switch. Then to the right of that, we are going to have our throttle, which you just saw me use there starting the tractor so you could hear it. So very easy right here, the throttle. Then our key switch right below that. Then below that, we are going to have this lever here, which is going to be our cruise control. So being as that we have the 2 pedals over here to the right, the forward and reverse, if we're going along doing such things as mowing, things that we're going to just be constantly on the go, sometimes these pedals can get tiresome holding them down. So you do have that option here of setting that cruise control. And then right below that is going to be that parking brake switch that I talked about before. Now moving over to the right, like we talked about our forward and reverse pedals, we have the twin touch pedals here, one for forward, one for reverse, making driving on this tractor very, very simple. Then to the right here, very conveniently placed on our actual console here, is going to be our loader joystick. Now the nice thing about this joystick is that you can have your arm on the armrest, hold on to that very easily, nice and comfortable. Some tractors, you know, we have to be way out here whenever we're running that joystick, but this one is very conveniently placed here on the right hand console. Now along with this joystick lever, this is going to be just like any other that you would see. We'd pull back to raise this up, down to drop the loader, left, right for curl and tilt on that bucket. Then we're also going to have the loader lock right down here below the joystick to the inside. Now all this is going to do whenever we push this lever in is going to lock this joystick out to where we can't bump this, because if this tractor is on, we have that loader up, we're trying to keep it in the same position, we want to be safe about keeping it there, we may want to lock in this joystick. That way whenever we are going and doing things, we don't accidentally bump it and lower this. Now keep in mind that this does not lock out the hydraulics on the machine. So if your machine happens to have a hydraulic leak, or you just have that tendency for the loader to start to give whenever it has that weight in it, then do not rely on this loader lock here to be doing anything underneath that loader or around it to where it could fail, because all this lock does, like I said, is locks out the joystick. So then we can pull that back out, and that's going to unlock that joystick now where we can use it like normal. Now right back behind that is going to be our 3-point raise and lower. So as you see here, very nice, it does have positions that are labeled out here. And then we're also going to have a 3-point lock system here. Now this is going to be a position lock. So say we are using such things maybe as a box blade or whatever those things are at the back, or rotary tiller, different things where we're trying to find a certain depth. If we're needing to find that certain depth, then we want to make sure and keep that certain depth every time we go back with our 3-point. Whenever we go to lower, we can set that lock. That will simply stop us right there in that position, making it to every time whenever we push forward on this 3-point arm, it'll lower down to that same exact spot, and then we can raise that back up. So nice feature there. We're also going to have a cup holder on this side and a 12-volt outlet. So if you have those such things as your phone charger, whatever those things might be that you need that 12-volt outlet for, you've got it over here. And then you also have a large storage pocket back here at the rear, kind of back behind your seat, which is also going to be a nice feature for this operator station. Now, last thing here that you'll notice, it's kind of behind our operator station, but we need to talk about it, is going to be our rollover protection system here. So as you can see, we do have this rollover bar, and this is going to be a very important safety feature to this machine, because anytime we're working in a situation where we might be on a hillside or uneven terrain where we may have that chance of tipping this tractor over, we need to make sure and have this up and in place, because as you can see, this does have the pins here where you are able to fold this back in case you're working around some of these trees like this that are kind of low lying that you need to get under. You can fold this rollover protection system back, but you also are going to have a seat belt on this machine. So anytime that we're in those situations where we could upset or overturn or roll this thing over, we do need to make sure that we have our seat belt on and we have our ROPS up and in place to make sure to keep us safe, because that ROPS will not allow this tractor to roll over on top of you. Now moving to the rear of the tractor here, we are going to have a limited category 1 3-point hookup. So what that means is that these are going to take the same pins at our 3-point hookup as a normal category 1, but due to the stature of this tractor, being that it is going to be a shorter tractor, it is considered a limited category 1 hookup. So we need to keep in account that whenever we're looking for implements for this tractor, that they will fit that limited category, and that you're not going to get an implement that is too tall that you cannot raise up high enough whenever you are raising this 3-point up. Now, another thing to keep into consideration is going to be the lifting capacity here at the rear, which is going to be 950 pounds. Now, also, whenever we're talking about lifting that much, we also need to make sure that we're properly ballasted. This is also going to be true whenever we're talking about lifting in the front with our 120R loader, as the lifting capacity up there at full height, which is 72 inches, is going to be about 550 pounds. So we want to make sure that whenever we're raising there in the front doing loader work, that we are properly ballasted, whether that means that we're putting liquid in the tires, we're adding steel rear wheel weights, or we're adding ballast here to the rear of the tractor. One way or the other, whenever we're doing any kind of lifting, we need to make sure that we are properly ballasted. Now, also back here at the rear, we are going to have a standard 540 PTO shaft right here. We're also going to have a hitch plate here where we can pull those implements that require a hitch right there at the back. These machines will not have a drawbar with them, but they do come with the hitch plate. Now, a couple of service points that we're going to have back here at the rear. For one, we're going to have our dipstick for our hydraulic fluid, and also right back here behind this plate that is in front of our 3-point arm here at the top is going to be our transmission fill, which is going to be right there. Now, some of the things that we can add to the rear of this tractor is, for one, we can add a backhoe to these tractors. We can also add one set of rear hydraulics to this tractor. We can also add a Power Beyond kit, which is something that we would need if we're running that backhoe here at the rear. And then also another thing that we can add to this tractor is we can add a cab to this tractor. Now, this is going to be an aftermarket cab. It is going to be what's called the Mauser cab, and it is only going to be able to have heat in it. It will not have air conditioning, but if you're in one of those states where you're using this primarily in the cold, maybe you're way far up north and you're using this mainly for snow and other things like that, or needing to keep debris off of you, you do have the option to get a heated cab with this machine as well. And lastly, to wrap everything up, let's talk a little bit about tire options here, as there are only 2 options on this machine. Now, what you're going to see on this machine is going to be the R4 industrial tires, but you can also get a turf tire option if that is more suitable for your application. Now, warranty on these machines, what we're going to be looking at is a 2-year bumper-to-bumper warranty with a 6-year powertrain, which is going to cover your engine and transmission. Now, those also can be, the bumper-to-bumper can also be extended out to meet that 6-year powertrain, just so you are fully covered, but that would be an additional cost. But just know that you do have good warranty on this machine. Now, the other thing here is that whenever this video was made, the total list of this tractor was right around $24,000. But make sure and check with your local dealers, see what types of incentives they may have to be able to negotiate some on that price. But list price as of today, right around $24,000 on this tractor. Now, guys, I hope this video helped you out. I hope you liked this video. If you did, we just ask you to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, guys, if you're looking for any John Deere parts at all, make sure to go check us out at 247parts.com. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Hey guys, make sure to check out this cool video and this one. Buy your parts right up here and subscribe right here.